This battle was a heavy blow for the ancient stars beyond the realms, awakening the outer realm cultivators from their fanaticism. The casualties were too great. Dozens of tribal cultivators were all killed, and no one who entered the inner realm survived. The ancestral elder of the Fire Sparrow clan died, Southern Envoy Sage perished, and even the Lord of the Hall of Heavenly Punishment from the Council of Elders met their end. Over 100,000 cultivators were buried within the inner realm. The entire ancient star was filled with sorrow. Under this sorrow, a rising fury began to take root, a fury of vengeance. With this rage, more and more Outer Realm tribes actively called for a rematch. As the calls grew, the Council of Elders issued a battle preparation command for the second battle. The ancient stars beyond the realms were preparing. They waited for the second battle of revenge. Some powerful old monsters, who had been in seclusion for tens of thousands of years as mentioned by Blue Dream Taoist, emerged from their closed doors one by one, coldly staring at the inner realm, their killing intent palpable. The name Wong Lin, sealing Venerable, was once again deeply engraved in the minds of Outer Realm cultivators. It was a name they would never forget, one that they would gnash their teeth over, filled with boundless hatred. This Wong Lin was the one who killed the Fire Sparrow clan's elder, Southern Envoy Sage, and the avatar of Grand Diviner Yun Luo. He destroyed Yun Luo's island, leaving Yun Luo's life and death unknown. It was this person who unleashed the poison sea and mosquito beasts, turning them into nightmares for the Outer Realm cultivators. It was this person who killed so many Outer Realm cultivators and shattered the confidence of the Outer Realm forces in this battle. He is sealing Venerable, and he must die? Wong Lin's image was spread by the Council of Elders, and all Outer Realm cultivators came to know him. A never-before-seen bounty was issued for his death. In this battle, the cultivators of Cloud Sea suffered massive casualties. The few thousand survivors became the last hope. The entire Cloud Sea had been nearly ruined by this war. The large-scale death of cultivators left the major sects of Cloud Sea almost empty, with only the weakest cultivators left behind. The few thousand surviving cultivators of Cloud Sea took on the responsibility of educating the next generation, spreading out and reuniting the once sprawling sects to form the future 10 sects of Cloud Sea. Fortunately, the powers of the Divine Sect, Demon Sect, and Ghost Sect had not fully revealed themselves, barely holding the situation together. Due to the large-scale collapse of the Cloud Sea star domain in this battle, the entire region became unstable, with numerous spatial rifts appearing in the starry sky of Cloud Sea, making travel dangerous. However, despite this, the Demon Sect still dispatched nearly 70% of its cultivators to station themselves outside the battlefield of the first battle, an area that was the most barren in the entire realm. With the sealed realm Grand Array no longer in place, this area, though plagued by vortexes and black holes after the storm, became the gateway to the inner realm. The Ghost Sect also sent large numbers of cultivators to station there. As for the Divine Sect, under the leadership of Mu Bingmei, they formed a tight blockade to guard against the imminent second battle. Zhao River cultivators left part of their forces stationed near the vortex mist, led by a middle-aged woman, silently holding their ground. Luo Tian cultivators also left part of their forces, while the rest returned home to prepare for the second battle in silence. After the war, the Kuan Su star domain, which had remained absent throughout, sent 10,000 cultivators. Led by a woman in a water silk blue dress, they stationed themselves outside the vortex mist. This woman had a beautiful appearance, yet her icy coldness and the indifference in her eyes made all the cultivators around the vortex feel as if they were standing before a towering iceberg. In the first battle, the appearance of Grand Diviner Yun Luo from the Outer Realm left a profound impression on people like Red for Master and others. Yun Luo's military tactics and strategic calculations were unmatched, and if not for his avatar being killed by sealing Venerable, the battle would have been even more difficult. And even if reinforcements from Zhao River and Luo Tian had arrived, countless lives would still have been lost. Battles of this scale were rare in the Inner Realm. Over tens of thousands of years, the lack of experience in such large-scale wars was evident. This battle served as a lesson, but also made people like Red Fur Master understand that no matter how powerful the cultivators were, Without a commander to lead the army, they would be like scattered sand. The water silk blue dress woman was brought by Southern Cloud Master from Su for this reason. She was not only the leader stationed at the outer edge of Su, but also the commander of all the cultivators remaining outside the vortex mist. After this battle, the name Wong Lin, sealing Venerable, spread throughout the inner realm, and almost every cultivator within the realm knew of his legendary achievements. He killed the powerful elder of the Fire Sparrow clan, Southern Envoy Sage, and the commander of the Outer Realm's first battle, Grand Diviner Yun Luo. With a single strike, he blocked the third wave of invasion from the Outer Realm, preventing the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators from stepping forward. The power of one man was enough to stop the Outer Realm cultivators, who, filled with fear, sought to retreat from the Inner Realm, trapping them and preventing their escape. All these actions gave the cultivators of the Inner Realm a newfound confidence and fervent reverence. They remembered the name Wong Lin and the title of Sealing Venerable. Wong Lin's fame skyrocketed within the Inner Realm, surpassing figures like Red Fur Master, and making him the universally acknowledged spiritual leader of all cultivators in the realm. Not to mention, in the final moments of this battle, Sealing Venerable Wong Lin unleashed his netherworld beast, shattering the last remnants of the Outer Realm invasion. The swirling mist was his doing. Anyone who doubted all of this fell silent upon reaching the Cloud Sea, where the vast swirling mist left them speechless. Deep inside, they began to feel a surge of fervor. Almost all the cultivators stationed outside the swirling mist, upon arrival, were struck by awe. After standing there in silence for a long time, each of them bowed respectfully before leaving. If anyone still doubted, their words were never to be heard by the Cloud Sea cultivators. Especially those few thousand survivors who had walked out of death. Each one was a fanatic believer of sealing Venerable Wong Lin. They could not tolerate any disrespect towards him. To them, sealing Venerable Wong Lin was their entire honor. Even those from other star domains, no matter how close their relations were, would be instantly turned against if they spoke ill of Wong Lin in front of them. Wong Lin's name became a legend in the entire Inner Realm, but this legend was like a vanishing shadow, and no one knew if he was alive or dead. Red Fur Master and the others once joined forces to search for Wong Lin, but they found nothing. The netherworld beast, transformed into a grain of dust, seemed to have gone through some mysterious event, and no one could locate it. But the Cloud Sea cultivators believed that Sealing Venerable was still out there. Lu Fuzi believed that Sealing Venerable was still out there. Shi Zifeng from the Luo Tian Star domain and Xie Qing from Lingdong Star also believed that their master was still out there. Shen Gonghu and Zhan Konglai also believed. The soul subjugation seal of the Spirit Agile Sage and Zhou Jin, which had not yet collapsed, and the mutated mosquito beasts, which now had deadly venom, still roamed the Cloud Sea Star domain, making more and more people believe that Sealing Venerable was still out there. Mu Bingmei, who had become the sect master of the divine sect because of Sealing Venerable's words, had tears in her eyes. She firmly believed that Wong Lin was still out there. Situ Nan, grieving, abandoned his cultivation in the Rain Realm. After silently drinking far too much wine, he looked up at the sky and laughed wildly, but his laughter turned into uncontrollable tears. He drank, laughed, and cried for 3 days before resolutely leaving the Rain Realm to search for his brother. As he left, Zhou Ru's eyes filled with tears, but with determination and a plea, she left with Situ Nan. The day after Situ Nan left, Big Head and Reggie also departed. They were going to search for their master. The first to leave the Rain Realm was not Situ Nan, but Shursan. Upon hearing the news, he did not hesitate for a second and set out alone with Wong Lin's statue in hand. Many people were searching for Sealing Venerable Wong Lin, but no matter how hard they tried, they found no trace. Where are you? In the Su starry sky, Situ Nan and Zhou Ru stared into the vast starry sea. Where are you? In the Luo Tian star domain, Shi Zifeng, Xie Qing, and others silently gazed at the starry sky. In the divine sect, Mu Bingmei, exhausted after handling sect affairs, drank a bowl of healing soup. She gazed at the sky outside the pavilion, whispering to herself. Where are you? Outside the Cloud Sea swirling mist, in the dark starry domain, A woman dressed in a water silk blue dress stared at the mist, sighing deeply after a long time. You will never know who I am. Where are you? Shursan, never speaking a word, his resolute face filled with determination, raced through the starry sky. Guided by an inexplicable feeling, by the faint breath within the statue, he searched tirelessly without end. The mosquito beasts were also searching for Wong Lin. They were numerous and had merged with the poison sea, gaining venomous qualities. Yet, they did not attack any cultivators. Instead, they howled in groups, endlessly searching. Their sorrowful cries, like lost children searching for their parents, resonated deeply within the heart, evoking waves of sadness. Every cultivator who saw this group of mosquito beasts would stop and bow respectfully to them. In the Kuan Su star domain, or rather the Alliance star domain, in the far northern region, there was a chaotic debris zone. At this moment, within the endless debris, a small stone, no larger than a fist and resembling a speck of dust, lay on the ground. The surface of this stone had many small holes, connecting to the inside. The netherworld beast, transformed into a grain of dust, was hiding there. It had been frightened by the destruction of the storm and, in its nature, it was preparing to never leave this place. It felt that the outside world was too terrifying, too terrifying. It was the same unfortunate cultivator who had been frightened twice by the netherworld beast, whose life was consumed by fear for most of his years. In the end, he thought that the world inside the netherworld beast's body was the true starry sky. Inside the netherworld beast's world, on a cultivation star, the star was in a state of collapse. It no longer maintained a circular shape and appeared severely damaged. There were no plants to be found, and the entire place was filled with an air of desolation. A cultivator, with torn clothes and a face covered in dark, thick stubble, squatted there, staring blankly at a corpse lying before him. Strange. Could this person still be alive? I saw just a few days ago. There was only a little growth, but now that I've been gone for a few days, it's grown quite a lot. At this rate, in a few years, this person will be fully grown. It seems related to my blood, the cultivator muttered, absent-mindedly stroking his chin as he circled the body a few times, then walked up and kicked it hard. Damn it! Dare to pretend to be dead in front of this king? The cultivator's eyes widened, and after seeing that the body didn't react to his kick, he stepped forward and kicked it several more times. Eventually, he foolishly leapt into the air and stomped on the body. He jumped for almost an hour before finally getting down, lying on the side, and staring blankly at the blurry sky. He had been searching here for who knows how many years. The vast starry sky stretched endlessly, and he had yet to see another person appear. He still remembered clearly how, countless years ago, he too lay here, gazing blankly at the sky. He constantly prayed in his heart for the celestial beings to send a companion for him to interact with. This thought arose in his mind almost every day, but this time, it was different. Just as the thought appeared, he widened his eyes and saw a flash of light in the blurry starry sky. Immediately after, he vaguely saw something fall from the sky, landing on the other side of the cultivation star. He remembered that, after about 4 or 5 days of confusion, he suddenly realized what had happened and, overjoyed, rushed out, speeding toward the other side of the cultivation star. When he found the damaged corpse there, he carried it back and placed it here. Finally, someone to keep me company. Even though it's a dead person, how is it that the body is still growing? Oh, maybe, who knows? I think it's probably going to rain today. Little Red, go get the rain protection Tao spirit for me. Huh. I ate it when I got drunk last time. Then go ask the Lee family for another one. Damn it, if they don't give it to you, tell them that I'll have my brother go and steal it tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's because I ran out of money. What do I do if it's not enough? Little Goe, go find my brother, tell him to give me more. Damn it, if he doesn't give it to you, tell him I'll go and, steal it myself. The cultivator muttered to himself, rambling and losing track of his words. This kind of self-talk and chaotic speech was something he started doing when he was trapped in that seven-colored realm. If it weren't for this, he would have truly gone mad. After muttering to himself for a long time without rest, he let out a long sigh, stood up, and turned his gaze toward the corpse. His expression changed immediately, turning into one of fierceness. He grinned cruelly as he stood up and growled. You dare to scare this king? Let's see how I deal with you. With a roar, the cultivator jumped into the air. As he made a hand seal, a torrent of divine arts erupted, charging straight at the corpse. The ground trembled violently under the series of explosions. After a long time, the tremors hadn't even subsided when the mad cultivator once again unleashed more divine arts. The attacks continued for several days. If a third person had witnessed the divine arts used by this madman, they would have been terrified beyond belief. Little Peach Red, take this. The mad cultivator raised his right hand, and the heavens shook. A giant palm imprint appeared, crashing toward the corpse below. However, the palm's power seemed insufficient, and upon contact with the corpse, it shattered. Nonetheless, it was filled with a vast aura. This palm print was none other than the most authentic soul subjugation seal, a supreme art passed down by the sealing Venerable and left in the divine sect. Strangely, this madman's version seemed even more precise than the original sealing Venerables. Little Silver Dao, let's see how I strike you. The mad cultivator yelled as he raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. In an instant, the entire sky transformed into a vast umbrella, and a massive pillar appeared, supporting the heavens and the earth. From a distance, it looked like an enormous umbrella. World-incinerating umbrella, descend for me. The mad cultivator waved his right hand, and the ancient umbrella immediately shrank, finally landing in his right hand. He then poked it toward the corpse on the ground. Unfortunately, although this technique seemed powerful, it had no actual strength. The moment it touched the corpse, it immediately dissipated. Old Li Guang, take this arrow from this king. The madman laughed wildly as he raised both hands, seemingly holding an imaginary bow. As he released his grip, a burst of arrow chi appeared out of thin air and shot directly at Wong Lin below. Rainbow Maiden, your husband has been forced away by my brother. If you ask me, you should just surrender to this king. Wouldn't that be better? Look, I can even perform the rainbow art too. The madman raised his right hand, and in an instant, rainbow-colored light appeared, forming a gigantic mystical wheel that spun wildly. Time passed, and as the madman rambled on, he unleashed a plethora of other divine arts, many of which had never been seen in either the inner or outer realms. It wasn't until several days later that the madman slowly stopped, panting and revealing a satisfied expression on his face. Not bad, not bad. My divine arts have grown stronger. Very good. Now it's time to practice some strength. Speaking to himself, he stood up again, walked over to the corpse, and noticed a bow tightly clutched in its hand. The corpse had a death grip on the bow, the string broken. One end was still attached to the bow, while the other had merged into the corpse's flesh, deeply embedded within. The madman rubbed his hands together, grabbed the bow, and his face turned red as he struggled to pull it out. As he pulled, his body jumped up repeatedly, and he yelled loudly. Damn it! These ancient kingdom people, holding Li Guang's bow. Even dead, they still have this much strength. Wait, did I just say ancient kingdom? Li Guang's bow. The madman froze for a moment, let go of the bow, thought for a long time, then blinked and glanced at the corpse. He muttered to himself, Ancient kingdom, that sounds so familiar, almost like a deep hatred. After a long while, he still couldn't remember anything. Scratching his head, he sighed deeply and squatted down, staring blankly at the corpse. He raised his right hand, bit his fingertip, and placed it in the corpse's mouth. Drink more, quickly, and grow your body fully, then come play with me. He had been feeding his blood to this corpse for days, nearly every time he thought about it after finding the body. My blood is precious, you know. That Li family girl begged for years before I gave her a drop. And that? Who was it again? Little Red. Yeah, the saintess of that sect who got stolen away. If I hadn't felt sorry for her, I wouldn't have given her any. My blood is more precious than the Tao Saint himself. Ugh, no food left. Little Red, go to the Chi-Mo family and bring me some fruit. That dream fruit, the one they harvest once every 10,000 years, bring it to me. Damn it, if they don't give it to you, just tell them I'll send my brother to rob them tomorrow. The madman mumbled, completely unaware that the corpse, which had been rapidly healing, now slowed down after absorbing his blood. The healing stopped entirely and even reversed, making the wounds even worse. Faintly, There seemed to be a force inside the corpse, violently rejecting the blood, as if they couldn't coexist. However, there was a subtle sense of fusion amidst this rejection. This corpse was Wong Lin. The blood of the madman inside him clashed violently with the ancient power, as if they were devouring each other, battling for life and death. In this fierce conflict, Wong Lin's body began to undergo a strange transformation, one that seemed to change his bloodline. A transformation from a mere mortal to a true immortal. And during this transformation, the Bao, which had once been carried by Li Guang and was never meant to be claimed by anyone after his death, began to show an earth-shattering, world-shaking change, one that would astonish even the mightiest of beings. Had the war ghost witnessed this scene, even with his cultivation, he would have shown a look of disbelief. The broken bowstring, now embedded inside Wong Lin, was slowly merging with his changing bloodline. The bloodline's power began to spread across the Bao. A faint, excited cheer seemed to emanate from the Bao, one that only Wong Lin could hear, as though the Bao had finally found a new master after countless millennia of being without one. Even the Bao itself could feel it. Wong Lin's bloodline was beginning to purify and become even more potent than its previous owner, as if the difference between water and wine. The madman stared blankly at the sky, muttering to himself, "It's raining. Little Red, come give this old man a shoulder rub. Go tell my brother, I'm too tired to practice today. I'm going out to have some fun. Tell him not to come looking for me. I'll come back when I'm done. If he dares drag me back like before, I'll cut ties with him." The intense pain was enough to drive a person insane. If Wong Lin had lost consciousness, it would have been better. But in reality, he had awakened long ago. However, when he woke up, his body was already filled with the blood of that madman. This blood carried an extremely pure force, a power that Wong Lin had never seen before in his life. Only when he had seen the illusion in the ancient burial ground, on the chair, when Guillermo used his great divine Tao art, that breath released in the air could rival the force within this blood. However, this power could not be wielded by Wong Lin. It was hidden within the blood, circulating within his body, gradually merging with his bones and blood as it battled with the ancient god's power. Bones are the root of blood production. The blood from that madman was continuously merging with Wong Lin's bone marrow throughout this long process, altering his bloodline. What is bloodline? It is essentially the marrow within the bones. Changing the marrow is equivalent to changing a person's bloodline. If successful, from now on, the blood that flows in Wong Lin's veins would be as pure and noble as that of the madman. This nobility, Wong Lin could vaguely sense a mysterious thought, as if emanating from this madman's blood, a presence powerful enough to make the entire world bow down. Wong Lin was even shocked to discover that, as this blood surged into his body, his essence spirit trembled, as though this blood was an unimaginable, high-level existence for him. This presence was akin to the pinnacle of all cultivators. Especially as time passed, with the pure blood circulating, Wong Lin's body would undergo a transformation, a great change from a mortal into an immortal. Awake, Wong Lin, though horrified by this blood, saw all the divine arts the madman had applied to his body. He witnessed those scenes, as though a million or even tens of millions of thunderstrikes were crashing into his mind, unable to calm for a long time. In particular, the madman's incessant ramblings sent waves of turmoil through Wong Lin's soul. But all of this, under the intense pain in his body, was too overwhelming for Wong Lin to thoroughly contemplate. The pain in his body right now was even more intense than the ancient God-star tribulation from that year, countless times more unbearable. His body could not move, not even his eyelids could open. His essence spirit was trapped within his body by the blood, unable to move. Fortunately, amidst the immense pain, he could hear a series of jubilant cheers coming from the bow in his right hand. These cheers brought a warmth that eased Wong Lin's suffering just a little. Gradually, he began to feel a very strange sensation, as though the bow in his hand had fused with him, as if it had become a part of his bloodline. He also noticed that the bow, which had never acknowledged a master before, was now recognizing not him, but the bloodline within him that was slowly changing. It seemed that only by possessing this bloodline could the bow acknowledge its master. My blood is extremely special. Oh, I remember now. There was a little demoness called Fei Fei who gave me something to eat. The madman sitting next to Wong Lin suddenly stopped his mumbling, a confused look in his eyes. After a long time, he shook his head, took his right hand out of Wong Lin's mouth, and put it in his own, licking it a few times, with an expression of intoxication on his face. My blood, even I love it so much, but I can't just give it to anyone. My brother told me that even a single drop of my blood can do what exactly? Little Red, where did you go? I've been here for so many years, and you haven't come to find me. Just wait. Once I go home, I'll eat you up. The madman muttered with anger, standing up and walking around Wong Lin several times. Finally, he stopped, glaring at Wong Lin, especially when he saw that Wong Lin's body had still not recovered, still half the state it had been in when the madman moved him here. The madman became even angrier. Why is growing a body so hard? So difficult? If it were me, I would have been fine by now. How many years has it been? How could you be so stupid? The madman's anger grew as he spoke. He kicked the ground in frustration and, seemingly unsatisfied, started hopping on Wong Lin's body, jumping up and down. From a distance, he looked like an angry monkey. My brother said that the blood of my clan can heal most injuries in the world. I've given you so much blood, yet you still can't grow your body properly. You. The madman jumped aside, glaring at Wong Lin, hardly pausing for breath. I don't believe it. You wait and see. The madman muttered to himself, raising his right hand and striking his chest with a powerful blow. In that moment, a strange mark suddenly appeared on his right hand, and the mark struck his body with force. The madman's body trembled, and his face immediately turned ruddy as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, which fell directly onto Wong Lin's body. This king has plenty of blood. You quickly heal and accompany me to play. That mouthful of blood was nothing compared to the previous stream of blood from his fingers. It was like the difference between a river and the sea. The blood exuded a rich golden color, brimming with an incredibly pure aura. Once it landed on Wong Lin's body suddenly shook. His body hair stood on end, rapidly absorbing the blood. In just a moment, he had absorbed all the blood into his body. The massive amount of blood rushed into his body and immediately turned into a storm that roared. It clashed wildly with the ancient god's power within Wong Lin, and some of it directly fused into his bone marrow, starting a transformation. After spewing out the blood, the madman's face turned pale. He breathed heavily, glaring at Wong Lin, but slowly, an even greater fury began to show in his eyes. Not healed yet? You, wait for this king to rest, just wait. The madman grunted as he sat to the side. He didn't cross his legs to heal, but just sat there, gradually calming his breath. After a while, he suddenly stood up and walked towards Wong Lin. Damn it. My blood would be useless even if it's drained unless it's voluntarily given as lifeblood. I refuse to believe you can't heal fully. The madman growled as he slapped his chest again. This time, he slapped it 3 times in succession. A mouthful of blood spewed out, and the madman took 2 steps back, then spat another mouthful of blood. The second mouthful barely left his mouth before the third came spraying out. 3 mouthfuls of blood turned into a blood rain, heading straight for Wong Lin. You bastard! The madman's eyes had turned red. At this point, even if his brother stood before him, he wouldn't be able to stop his obsession. With a growl, he bit his tongue, and a blood arrow shot out, landing directly on Wong Lin. This blood arrow was his lifeblood, far more valuable than ordinary blood. After it shot out, his eyes rolled back, and his body collapsed with a thud. He lost too much blood and fainted on the spot. Before passing out, he muttered, "My blood is precious. This time I went too far, so dizzy, my head's spinning. Little Red, come and rub my head." Wong Lin's body was now covered in blood. The blood seemed to have its own consciousness, rapidly drilling into his body through his sweat pores the moment it touched his skin. With this massive amount of blood, especially the lifeblood, once it entered Wong Lin's body, an indescribable oppressive force erupted. Under this pressure, the ancient Tao power and the ancient god's power within Wong Lin collapsed, all suppressed forcefully. However, large-scale fusion did not occur. Even so, as the Tao power was suppressed, The blood that poured into his body rushed straight for his bones, swiftly entering his bone marrow and fusing with it. This fusion was not on the small scale like before. It happened instantly and quickly merged together. Wong Lin's body trembled violently as red spots spread across his skin. This was his own blood being violently forced out of his body. Moreover, under the fusion with the bone marrow, new blood was slowly being created. The moment this new blood formed, a noble aura suddenly burst out of Wong Lin's body. This noble aura felt as if it was the peak of all cultivators, as if even the heavens themselves had to bow before it. Within his closed left eye, the 9 colored flames suddenly roared into life, faintly visible through his eyelid. But just as they burned, the new blood formed from his bone marrow rushed over, and the 9-colored storm exploded, turning into countless sparks. As it collapsed, it fused again. A golden flame suddenly manifested. This golden flame contained the essence of the great Tao of heaven and earth, but it was not Tao fire. With the appearance of this golden fire, the thunder pattern in Wong Lin's right eye roared. The new blood from his bone marrow washed over it, and the thunder pattern immediately shattered, collapsing along with the 9 accompanying thunders surrounding it. At the moment the thunder pattern and its thunders shattered, a golden lightning bolt appeared directly in Wong Lin's closed right eye. Golden, entirely golden. Yet, this golden color was not deep, only a faint golden hue. But even so, it was enough to strike fear into anyone who recognized the secret behind this golden light. Golden, the color of immortality. True immortality. With the golden flame in his left eye and the golden lightning in his right. If Wong Lin were to open his eyes now, every cultivator who gazed into his pupils would be struck with an overwhelming shock. They would feel an indescribable pressure bursting forth from his eyes, a true immortal thunder. The golden flame on his left eye, which had originally been in a state of ethereal flame, was still far from the level of Tao flame, let alone perfect. But now, under the circulation of the new blood created from his bone marrow flowing through his body, it suddenly transformed into a divine flame that surpassed all other flames in terms of rank. This was the true immortal flame. With just this immortal thunder and immortal fire, Wong Lin could annihilate any cultivator in the early stage of Void Nirvana. Even those in the middle stage of Void Nirvana would not be able to withstand for long under the onslaught of these forces, and would ultimately perish in fear. Even late-stage Void Nirvana powerhouses would be shaken to their core upon seeing this true immortal thunder and immortal fire, and would choose to retreat madly in a desperate attempt to escape. Furthermore, within the flow of the new blood created from his bone marrow, the 3 remaining fundamental origins inside Wong Lin, life and death, cause and effect, and truth and falsehood, began to slowly shift, gradually moving towards perfection. With just one opportunity, he could step onto the great Tao under the immortal bloodline. The appearance of this madman was a great fortune in Wong Lin's life, comparable to the time he first obtained the ancient god's inheritance in the ancient god's land. It was a fortuitous event that could change his destiny. And this fortune, up until now, had yet to come to an end. Wong Lin's mind remained clear, but at this moment, he couldn't move a single inch. He silently felt everything within his body, and the sensation, so vastly different from before, made him vaguely guess at what was happening. Especially the blood in his veins. The new blood created from his bone marrow carried a supreme aura of heaven and earth. This aura was immortal chi. Even as the blood flowed, his essence spirit was undergoing a frantic transformation. What Wong Lin didn't know was that, even in the time of the 4 great immortal realms, including the 4 great immortal emperors like Qing Lin, though they were called immortals, in comparison to him, they were still mere mortals. The bloodline within Wong Lin's body had reached an earth-shattering level. But his body was extremely unique. It could be said that it was a body that had never appeared in all of history. His body was ancient god, a Tao ancient inheritance. Yet his bloodline had, under the mad actions of that lunatic, obtained the immortal bloodline. This manifestation was exceedingly rare. 2 completely opposing forces, constantly clashing, had suppressed the power of Tao ancient. Yet, the immortal bloodline could not destroy it. As a result, Wong Lin's body was incomplete. In this incompleteness, his lower body was in a state of rapid recovery and collapse, while his essence spirit was caught between clarity and being imprisoned. If this phenomenon continued, Wong Lin would become a living corpse, or perhaps, after being refined by someone, it could be turned into a treasure of heaven and earth. This treasure would be usable by both immortals and ancient beings. At this moment, Wong Lin had to make a choice: to select the Tao ancient inheritance he had before and abandon this earth-shattering fortune, or to embrace this fortune and give up the ancient god inheritance that had accompanied him for thousands of years. It was an incredibly difficult decision, and even though Wong Lin wanted to choose, he couldn't yet. His essence spirit was unable to move, and it had already, to some extent, separated from his physical body. Damn it, I'm exhausted. At that moment, the madman who had fainted due to excessive blood loss slowly woke up. His face was filled with fatigue, but there was a faint excitement as he looked toward Wong Lin. But the instant he saw Wong Lin, the excitement on the madman's face instantly crumbled, replaced by an overwhelming fury. You still haven't recovered?" The madman shouted as he jumped up and rushed towards Wong Lin. He grabbed Wong Lin's shoulders and shook him violently, screaming, "I gave you all that blood. How much can that blood be exchanged for?" "So much blood. With all this blood, I could make that rainbow girl submit to me. If my brother finds out, he'll go mad." The madman jumped up suddenly, his face twisted with rage. "Give me back my blood. You took my blood and still haven't recovered. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Little Red, throw this guy out and kill him." In his frenzy, the madman growled, staring at Wong Lin. He opened his mouth and bit down on Wong Lin's shoulder, growling like a mad dog. "I'll bite you to death. Bite you to death." After a while, panting heavily, the madman's eyes turned red again, growing more ferocious. He glared at Wong Lin, grinding his teeth before releasing Wong Lin's shoulders and covering his mouth in pain, letting out groans. "I hate the cultivators of the ancient kingdom. Their bodies are too hard. My teeth, it hurts so much. Little Red, go to the executioner family and bring that thing here. I've forgotten what it's called. Hurry up and get it. If they don't give it to you, tell them my brother will go and snatch it tomorrow." The madman staggered to the side, muttering to himself for a while. After calming down a little, he turned to look at Wong Lin, and slowly, a maddened look began to form again in his eyes. "I don't believe this. Wait, let me think." The madman's bloodshot eyes flickered rapidly, but after a moment, he couldn't think of any solution, which only made him more agitated. He growled at Wong Lin. The madness of the fool was beyond ordinary comprehension. The more he failed to find a solution, the angrier he became. His fury intensified, and in the heat of the moment, his right hand shot up and grabbed his left arm. With a violent jerk, his left arm was suddenly torn away from his body. Strangely, there was no blood, and the wound was remarkably smooth. Holding his severed arm, the fool didn't even glance at it, his gaze fixed firmly on Wong Lin. He growled words that even he himself could not understand. With a wave of his right hand, the severed arm was flung to the ground, making a thunderous crash. The fool's right hand moved faster, and the booming sound grew more distant. Finally, he leapt into the air and began to angrily curse Wong Lin's corpse. This cursing went on for days. Only when his throat was dry and his voice hoarse did he stop, gasping for air. He placed the severed arm back on his body, and a flash of golden light illuminated the wound. A circular mark appeared at the site of the injury, exuding an ancient, weathered aura, intricate and complex. One glance was enough to make anyone lose themselves in its depths. On the mark, a sense of primordial existence, as though it had been there since the dawn of the universe, emanated an eerie and mysterious power. Staring at the mark on his left arm, the fool froze for a moment, but soon, a sudden gleam of brilliance flashed in his eyes. "I got it, ha, I got it." The fool licked his lips, rubbing his hands together, excitedly running over to Wong Lin's side. In his eyes, this corpse was nothing more than a toy, a source of entertainment in his endless boredom. However, once someone becomes obsessed with toys, they can become terrifyingly dangerous. How could I have forgotten about the 3 seals of the immortal ancestor? Ha, the 3 seals of the immortal ancestor, that's it. Filled with excitement, the fool felt his blood boiling, looking at Wong Lin and grinning foolishly. But as he smiled, a flicker of confusion flashed in his eyes. Wait, something feels wrong. The 3 seals of the immortal ancestor. I seem to remember my brothers saying that even if I die, I should never pass them on to anyone outside of our immortal clan. He hesitated for a moment, looking down at Wong Lin. That's not it, though. My brother said the 3 seals of the immortal ancestor can be passed on to anyone. Wait, what was it again? The fool frowned, raising his right hand and repeatedly tapping his head, growing more and more confused. My brother's words, I must follow them. I think it's okay to pass them on. Yes, that's it, it's allowed. The fool nodded solemnly. That's right. Even Little Red said I have a great memory and wouldn't make a mistake. The fool mumbled to himself, excitement returning to his eyes. He licked his lips, raised both hands, and quickly began forming seals. Suddenly, the entire cultivation star trembled violently, especially the fool's body, which began to shake uncontrollably. Faintly, the same circular mark that had appeared on his left arm manifested above his brow. At the beginning of the world, the immortal ancestor descended. The 3 seals changed the realm and established the eternal autumn of our immortal clan. The first seal changes the heavens. The second seal changes the Tao. The third seal changes, what was it again? Little Red, what does the third seal change? The fool blinked and shook his head in confusion. I forgot. Damn it. My memory is too good. I'll remember soon. He muttered, slapping his hand on his brow. A deafening rumble erupted, and an indescribably powerful force surged out from the cultivation star, spreading throughout the netherworld beast realm. With a fierce roar, the fool grabbed the mark from his brow as though pulling it out of his mind and pressed it against Wong Lin's forehead, where the ancient god star mark was located. The 3 seals of the immortal ancestor, making the immortal clan's indestructible body. Just as the fool's hand touched Wong Lin's brow, a tremendous force erupted from Wong Lin's body. The power surged violently from within and collided with the fool's hand. With a deafening crash, the fool spat out a mouthful of blood and was hurled backward, crashing to the ground. As he fell, confusion flashed in his eyes, and he muttered to himself, I think I remember now. It can't be passed on, especially not to the 3 ancient clans of the ancient kingdom. That would cause huge trouble. Why am I worried? I clearly didn't pass it on, right? Yes, I didn't pass it on. My memory is great. I don't remember passing it on. Lost in thought, his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed unconscious. Wong Lin's body trembled violently. His eyelids flickered rapidly, and his mind screamed as he felt everything the fool had just done. When the fool's mark landed, he clearly felt the suppressed ancient god Tao power inside him explode, as if it had gone mad. You fool! Wong Lin's eyes snapped open with a roar.